Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a message that I believe could change your perspective forever. We all face obstacles in life, don't we? We've all encountered moments that left us feeling like the weight of the world is pressing down on us. But here's the truth, the biggest obstacle to God's plan in your life isn't the mountains outside of you, it's the mountains inside of you. It's easy to get caught up thinking that the problems we face are what's stopping us from reaching our potential. But the real challenge is not in what's happening around us, it's what we believe about ourselves. The real struggle lies in how we respond to the fears, doubts, and limitations we carry within us. For most of us, the hardest thing to admit is that we are not in control. We like to think we've got our lives figured out, that if we work hard enough, plan enough, and hustle enough, we can bend the world to our will. But the truth is, God has a plan for us that's far beyond what we can imagine. And sometimes it's not about making things happen, it's about surrendering to His will. When we let go of the illusion of control, we open ourselves to something greater than we could ever accomplish on our own. One of the biggest obstacles we face in this journey is fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. Fear tells us that we're not good enough, that we're too weak to handle what lies ahead, and that we'll never be able to accomplish the things we dream about. But what if we stopped listening to fear and started listening to faith? What if we allowed ourselves to believe that the God who created us has equipped us with everything we need to fulfill His purpose? Fear will always be there, but faith can overcome it. And then there's the voice inside our heads, the one that says, you can't do this, you're not worthy. You don't have what it takes. Limiting beliefs hold us captive and prevent us from stepping into the life we're meant to live. But the truth is, God doesn't see us the way we see ourselves. He doesn't look at our past mistakes, our insecurities, or our weaknesses. He sees potential. He sees purpose. And when we align our hearts with His vision, we can accomplish far more than we ever thought possible. Resilience, my friends, is the key. Life will throw curveballs. You will encounter challenges that seem impossible to overcome. But I want you to know this, your obstacles aren't the end. They're an opportunity for you to grow. They are shaping you, molding you, and preparing you for something greater. It's in the struggle that we find strength. It's in the pain that we discover perseverance. So don't back down when life gets tough. Or embrace it. The bigger the obstacle, the bigger the opportunity for growth. Finally, we must remember that God's plan is not bound by our timing. We live in a world that demands instant results, but God's ways are higher than ours. His timing is perfect, even when we don't understand it. There will be moments when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like, when our prayers seem unanswered, or when our dreams feel out of reach. But trust me, every delay is not a denial. It's part of His perfect plan unfolding in His perfect timing. So today, I challenge you to embrace the journey, to trust that the biggest obstacle you face is not the world around you, but the doubt and fear inside you. Step forward with courage, knowing that the God who has called you is also the one who will equip you. Don't limit yourself. Don't let fear or self-doubt hold you back. You were made for more than just surviving. You were made for thriving, for overcoming, for living a life that reflects His glory. Remember, the obstacles you face are not permanent roadblocks. They are stepping stones preparing you for the greatness that lies ahead. So trust the process, trust His plan, and believe that with Him, all things are possible. I want to start today by sharing a moment from my life that I think many of you will relate to. There was a time when I felt completely stuck. It wasn't just one thing, it was everything. I woke up each day feeling as though the weight of the world was on my shoulders. Like every step I took forward was met with 2 steps back. It felt as though my circumstances were controlling my future, and no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't break free from the chains that held me down. There were days when the dreams I once held so tightly felt like distant memories, almost as if they belonged to someone else. I kept asking myself, why isn't this working out? Why do I feel like I'm running in circles? It felt like I was doing everything right, working hard, trying to stay positive, taking every step I thought was necessary, and yet everything around me seemed to resist my efforts. The frustration grew, and so did the doubt. But here's the thing I want to share with you today, what I couldn't see at that time, what I didn't understand in those moments of struggle, was that the biggest obstacle to my breakthrough wasn't external, it was internal. It wasn't the circumstances around me or the people who didn't believe in me. It wasn't the setbacks or the obstacles I could see. The real obstacle, the one that was holding me back from everything I was meant to be, was my own fear. Fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of what others would think, and perhaps the biggest fear of all, fear of not living up to my potential, fear of never fully stepping into the life I was meant to live. As I look back, I realized that I was fighting the wrong battle. I was focused on trying to change everything around me while I neglected the most important thing I needed to change my mindset. The battles that were waging in my heart and mind were the ones that truly kept me stuck. I had to learn that surrendering those fears, those insecurities, and trusting that I wasn't walking this journey alone, that was the key to moving forward. We all face obstacles. Some of them are visible job loss, health challenges, family struggles, but the ones that truly hold us back aren't always the ones we can see. It's the ones we carry inside, the way we see ourselves, the way we doubt the path that has already been set for us. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, the internal obstacles that stand in the way of God's plan for your life and how we can overcome them, not through our own strength, but through the power of faith and trust in something greater than ourselves. We like to think we're in control, don't we? It's human nature to want to shape our own destiny, to believe that if we work hard enough, plan enough, and hustle enough, we can bend life to our will. We make decisions based on what we think will bring us happiness, success, or security. And yet there's something so humbling about life that always seems to remind us that we're not in control the way we believe we are. Think about the times when you've planned everything to the smallest detail, everything in place, every step thought through, and then something unexpected happens. Maybe a job opportunity falls through. Maybe a relationship falls apart. Or maybe despite your best efforts, the door just won't open. It's as if the universe or God is reminding us that no matter how much we try to control every aspect of our lives, we can't possibly foresee every turn, every challenge, every detour. And here's the thing that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, it's beautiful. Because what I've learned is that the illusion of control is not the source of our strength, but rather the source of our stress. When we cling too tightly to the idea that we are the ones steering the ship, we forget that there is a bigger plan at play. We forget that there is a God who has already paved the way for us, who sees the bigger picture, who knows what we need before we even ask for it. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that we have to figure everything out right here and right now. The world tells us that we must be in charge, that we must be the ones making the decisions, pulling the strings. And yes, we are responsible for the choices we make. But I've come to realize that the real peace doesn't come from trying to control every outcome. It comes from surrendering to God's plan, trusting that He has a purpose for every moment, every setback, and every triumph. When we surrender control, we let go of the anxiety that comes from trying to manage things we can't. We stop wasting our energy on things beyond our reach, and instead we open ourselves to the guidance of something greater. That doesn't mean we stop working hard or striving to be our best. It simply means that we accept that there are forces at play that we cannot control, and that's okay. In fact, it's more than okay. It's freeing. Because when we stop pretending that we have all the answers, we allow God to do what He does best, guide us, shape us, and lead us to a place far beyond what we could have imagined. We can't control the timing. We can't control how things unfold, but we can control how we respond. And when we respond with faith, with trust, with patience, we let go of the burden of trying to fix everything on our own. I've seen it in my own life when I try to push things to happen. I feel the weight of that struggle. But when I trust, when I surrender, that's when the doors open, sometimes in ways I could never have planned or predicted. It's in those moments of surrender that we discover true peace, because we're not carrying the weight of trying to manage things that are out of our hands. God is. So let go of the need to control. Let go of the fear that things won't work out the way you want. Trust that the path you're on, even with its unexpected twists and turns, is leading you exactly where you need to go. And even when things seem uncertain, remember this, there is a bigger plan, a greater purpose, and you're exactly where you're meant to be. Fear is a powerful force. It has the ability to paralyze us, to keep us from stepping into the life we are meant to live. It whispers in our ears, telling us that we're not enough, that we'll fail, that we'll never measure up. Paints pictures in our minds of worst case scenarios, trapping us in a cycle of doubt and anxiety. And when we're consumed by fear, it becomes the greatest enemy to our faith. Think about it. How often do we hesitate to take a step forward because of fear? Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of rejection, or even fear of rejection, or even fear of success. We question our abilities, we doubt our worth, and we wonder if we'll be able to handle the challenges that come our way. Fear tells us that we are too weak, too inadequate, too unqualified to do what we feel called to do. And in doing so, it keeps us stuck, keeping us from stepping into the destiny God has for us. But here's the truth: fear is a liar. Fear wants us to believe that we are powerless, that we are victims of circumstances beyond our control. It wants us to believe that we're alone, that we have to face life's battles on our own. But in reality, fear can never change the truth of who we are. Fear can't erase the promises God has spoken over our lives. Fear can't silence His voice or diminish His power. When we live in fear, we give it power over us. But when we choose faith, when we choose to trust that God is with us in every moment, fear loses its grip. Faith is not the absence of fear, it's the willingness to move forward despite it. Faith is knowing that even in the face of uncertainty, God is bigger than any fear that comes our way. And when we embrace that truth, something incredible happens. Fear begins to lose its power over us. We start to see obstacles as opportunities. We start to see setbacks as setups for something greater. We start to realize that the very things we feared most were actually the things that were shaping us, strengthening us, and preparing us for what was ahead. I've seen it in my own life. There were times when fear almost stopped me in my tracks. When fear told me that I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't ready, that I wasn't capable. But in those moments, I learned to push through that fear and trust in the strength God had already placed within me. And as I did, I discovered a deeper faith, a stronger sense of purpose, and a confidence that came not from my own abilities, but from His presence in my life. The truth is, every time we step out in faith, we are choosing to trust God more than we trust our own fears. And each time we do, we are empowered to move beyond our limits, to break through the barriers that once seemed insurmountable. When we replace fear with faith, we open ourselves to the possibilities of what God can do in us and through us. So I ask you today, what fears are holding you back? What are you afraid of? Is it failure? Is it rejection? Is it the unknown? Whatever it is, know that you don't have to face it alone. God has already equipped you with everything you need to overcome it. Fear will always be there, but faith is stronger. And with faith, there is no obstacle that can stand in your way. We all have voices inside our heads. They whisper to us, sometimes subtly, sometimes loudly, about what we can't do, what we'll never be, and how we'll never measure up. These voices often tell us that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy of success, that we don't have what it takes to achieve our dreams. They plant seeds of doubt, and those seeds grow into limiting beliefs that hold us back in ways we don't even fully realize. These beliefs become the invisible barriers we place on ourselves, often without ever questioning where they came from. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not capable enough, or I don't deserve this? Maybe you've convinced yourself that your past mistakes define you, or that the opinions of others are a reflection of your worth. These thoughts are not truths, they're lies. And the worst part, we believe them. We start to live as though these self-imposed limits are reality, as though we are stuck with this narrative of inadequacy and failure. And we allow these beliefs to shape our actions and decisions. But what if we stopped and asked ourselves a question? What if the beliefs we have about ourselves are not the truth? What if the stories we've been telling ourselves about our limitations are just that, stories? So often we allow our past, our mistakes, and the judgments of others to dictate our future, but that's not the life God intends for us. The life God has for you is full of possibility, and it begins with letting go of the beliefs that are holding you back. I'm here to tell you that your past does not define your future. You are not limited by your past mistakes or by what others have said about you. The only limits that exist are the ones you place on yourself. And when you break free from those limiting beliefs, you open up a world of possibilities. You can step into the life God has called you to live, a life full of purpose, strength, and potential. The key to breaking free from limiting beliefs is to replace them with the truth. The truth that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. The truth that you are capable of far more than you've allowed yourself to believe. The truth that you have been equipped with everything you need to fulfill your purpose. When we begin to believe the truth about who we are, we start to see the world differently. We begin to see opportunities where we once saw obstacles. We begin to take steps toward our goals with confidence, knowing that we are not walking alone. We are walking with the Creator of the universe who has already paved the way. This shift in mindset doesn't happen overnight. It takes time and it takes intention. But it starts with a decision to stop letting fear and doubt define us. It starts with choosing to replace the negative thoughts with affirmations of truth. Every time you catch yourself thinking, I can't, remind yourself that you can. Every time you doubt your worth, remind yourself that you are valuable beyond measure. Every time you feel like giving up, remember that God has equipped you with strength that goes beyond what you can see. Let go of the self-defeating mindset that says you can't. Let go of the belief that your limitations define you. Step into the freedom that comes from knowing who you really are and what you're truly capable of. When you do, you will find that the possibilities are endless and that the life God has for you is far greater than you could have ever imagined. Life has a way of testing us, doesn't it? We all face challenges, and sometimes those challenges feel impossible to overcome. There are moments when the weight of the world seems to fall on our shoulders, when we feel like we've hit a wall and there's no way around it. It's easy in those moments to feel defeated, to wonder if we're strong enough or if it's worth continuing at all. But what if I told you that those very obstacles, those very moments of struggle, are actually opportunities in disguise? What if I told you that the adversity you face today could be the stepping stone to something greater tomorrow? Resilience is a powerful force. It's the ability to keep going when the going gets tough. It's the strength to rise again after you've fallen. It's the choice to look at your challenges and say, this will not define me. I will not be broken by this. I will learn from this. I will grow from this. I will grow from this. Resilience isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about how you respond when hardship comes your way. It's about the mindset you choose when life throws its hardest punches. Will you give in or will you rise up? I've seen it time and time again in my own life and in the lives of others. The greatest victories often come after the greatest struggles. Sometimes the obstacles we face are the very things that shape us, teach us, and prepare us for the future. It's through overcoming difficulty that we discover strength we didn't know we had. When everything seems to be falling apart, that's often when we learn to lean on faith, trust in the process, and find the courage to keep moving forward. And let me tell you something, you are far stronger than you think. You are more resilient than you realize. I know it's hard when things don't go the way we plan. We've all been there. Maybe a dream didn't come true. Maybe a relationship fell apart. Maybe the job you worked so hard for didn't materialize. In those moments, it can feel like the end of the road. But here's the truth, it's not the end, it's the beginning. It's in those moments of hardship, of being knocked down, that we often discover our true calling, our true strength, and our true potential. Every obstacle is an opportunity. Every setback is a chance to rise higher. And every challenge is an invitation to grow, to develop resilience, and to learn the lessons we need to move forward. Resilience isn't just about surviving, it's about thriving in the face of adversity. It's about finding the silver lining in the storm, the lesson in the loss, and the opportunity in the obstacle. And when you choose to see your challenges as opportunities, you transform your mindset from one of defeat to one of empowerment. One of the most powerful things I've learned is that adversity often reveals what we're truly made of. It's when we're pushed to our limits that we tap into a deeper strength, a strength that we might not have recognized before. It's like a seed planted in the ground that struggles to push through the dirt, but when it finally breaks free, it grows into something beautiful. The struggles you face today are the very things that will help you grow into the person you are meant to become. So when life gets tough, don't give up. Don't let the obstacles define you. Instead, let them refine you. Use them to build your resilience, to sharpen your focus, and to strengthen your faith. The harder the challenge, the greater the reward on the other side. And every time you rise from a fall, you grow stronger. You become more of the person you were always meant to be. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward, with greater wisdom, greater strength, and greater purpose. We live in a world that demands speed. We want things to happen now, not tomorrow, not next week. We're used to instant gratification, to quick fixes, and to results that come faster than we can blink. We've been conditioned to believe that if we work hard enough and long enough, we can make things happen on our own timeline. And when things don't happen the way we expect, we often find ourselves frustrated, discouraged, and wondering why it's taking so long. But here's the thing, there's a deeper lesson we all need to learn. A lesson that will change the way we live and the way we trust God's plan: patience. Patience isn't just waiting around for something to happen. It's trusting that what's meant for you will come in the right time, even if that time isn't what you imagined. We may not always understand why things don't happen when we want them to, but the truth is that God's timing is always perfect. His plan is far greater than anything we can envision. And sometimes we have to trust that He is working behind the scenes, even when we can't see the progress. There have been countless moments in my own life when I've wanted something desperately. I've prayed for it, worked for it, hoped for it, and yet nothing seemed to come. I remember feeling like I had done everything I could, like I had given it my all, and still the doors wouldn't open. It's in those moments that doubt starts to creep in. You start asking, is this ever going to happen? Have I missed my chance? Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not worthy. But over time, I've learned a powerful lesson. It's not about what we can see or what we can force to happen. It's about trusting that God sees the bigger picture. So as we stand here today, facing our own obstacles, doubts, and fears, I want you to remember this: the struggles you face are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of something greater. The road may be tough, the timing may feel off, and the waiting may seem endless, but trust that God is always at work behind the scenes, preparing you for what's ahead. He is shaping you, refining you, and making you stronger than you ever thought possible. When you face fear, remember that faith is the antidote. When you're tempted to give up, remember that resilience is the strength that will push you forward. When you feel overwhelmed by the obstacles in front of you, remember that they are simply opportunities for growth and transformation. And when it feels like nothing is happening, remember that God's timing is always perfect, even when we can't see it.